Welcome back to Mimoda. Um, Yay. Okay. We would hear the words, let's go. Do you remember the words, let's go? We knew what was going to follow, and we followed him. We connected with with Stefan as he took us on a journey with reconnecting with our body every day when we went to class. And we kept coming back because his class was different. He was unique and much loved, and today we're here to talk about him. To share Stefan's stories so we can remember him more clearly and make everybody's memory of him our own. And we'll start by letting Stefan tell some of his own story in a film that was just finished. And then I'll be inviting people up to share stories, so hope everyone will do that.
Didn't shave. Does it show? Mm-hmm. It shows that I didn't shave.
Looks great.
My interest in dance was really salon dancing. So there was this one hotel, the Grand Hotel of Sopot. We discovered a little toilet window on the ground floor. And we would like climb over, like an eel. There was a duo of cabaret dancers. They would do a rumba, a tango, a samba. Yeah. And it was unbelievable for me because in our gray misery of communist reality, people, like this, no ties, the jacket's too short. So the men and the women, young, in fantastic sequin glistening costumes, like silver, gilded, all. I said, my God, what a different life it must be from where they are coming, And I say to myself, but I can do that, I'm a better dancer than he. And so I say, I have to go to a ballet school. That's the only place where you can learn dancing. There was no other way to learn. There were no salon dance schools or something like this. That was anti-socialist. A boy in a ballet school was something very rare. We were almost like tropical plants, a very special species. And me, a total klotz. Me, complete. I was ridiculed. I was so bad in that class. And then I decided, I'm going to show you. I'm not only using this to become a cabaret dancer, I'll be the best. With the tip of your finger, draw the line. Yes, first. The heels demi-plie emphasize. 4, forward, 1, long neck. 2, the distance far, 3. Don't push out the legs. Remain straight legs when you lean backwards. Hello? After the war, the second-hand bookshops, they were filled with fantastic editions of books, leather covered, for 10 cents, let's say, American. I would read on the bed covers as a little boy before the dancing. Reading about Caruso, I wanted to become a tenor. The next, I read El Hakim. I wanted to become the greatest doctor. Then the next week, Paracelsus, I wanted to become the great African healer. I had this sense of identification with the books he wrote. Don't rush it. And front. One year, the Minister of Culture decided, I intend to give the 5 most prominent Polish artists a stipendium to study Occidental culture. We were the first artists to have been ever sent to a Western country. To learn their art, to practice. No. In the role of a devil's advocate. You know, to learn the enemy comes, you know, tricks, you know, to defeat them later on, you know. I mean, that was how it was explained to the party. We got to live in barracks. The most abominable. It was winter time, you know, it was cold, you know. We slept in our coats, but all that was nothing, meant nothing. We were gloriously happy. Going onto the Champs-Élysées, from the metro coming up, you know, in the evening light, the lights, that if I ever experienced a flush, you know, of absolute sense of freedom, that was it. I walked into my future world. Turn around, stay, click, click. Slowest turn, 1. Nice, Padre. Go into it, 1. Nice. Hop. Click. Very good. We all knew what Pigalle was, where all the whores are, you know, where the pimps and all this. Let's see what that is all about. We figured out already a way, you know, to economize a little on the metro, you know, without putting in the tickets, you know. That's smart. One nightclub, another nightclub, with display cases. And imagine somebody coming from a socialist country, and there were pictures of women with naked boobs, you know. Nobody ever, and God, you know, this was like top pornography in Eastern Europe, you know, for a picture of a woman showing just like the upper part without the nipple of a breast was already perversion, you know. So there you have this woman like a womb, the boo, you know, and then the whole body like just a little feather in front. We have a little council there. You have to do some things. 2 girls, gorgeous, blonde, you know, beautiful, beautiful. Not naked breast, but very décolleté, you know, like it was a blow probably it would have fallen down. Zbigniew, the Polish James Dean, he looks at her, she looks at him, he looks wide-eyed at her, she was sipping wine. She looked like a countess, you know, or like a millionaires, you know. He invites her over to our table. And she, what would you like to drink? And she naturally orders the best champagne. A bottle of the best champagne. It took us maybe half of our monthly scholarship. That was like about $120 at the time, you know, for the whole month. And once we had that champagne downed, you know, and she was there flirting with him a little this and this, and she was starting to insinuate, you know, maybe a second, but we didn't have the money for a second, you know. She just got up right away, by and walked away. And then we went out of there, the 3 Poles, you know, with their first experience in a nightclub in Paris, you know. There was this one teacher who had the deepest impact on me, and that was Viktor Gzowski. All the dancers from around the world, the principals came to him. He felt the body like I had not seen anyone feel the body before. Instinctively, he was going with his arms extending, reaching out. It was not your ballet body the way Russian dancers would move about stage, which was very athletic, da-da, da-dee. When you give the hand, you give it like this. He had a sense of modern dance without abandoning the field of ballet. In these 3 months that we had been given to study, Serge Liffard, who was at the time the artistic director of the Paris Opera, saw me in one of the classes that I took, and he asked me to take part in a gala performance, for an old Russian ballerina, Madame Preobrazhenska. And so I danced in that performance, and the top prima ballerina of the Paris Opera asked whether I would partner her on a guest tour. I was asked to dance the lead roles of Nijinsky, considered to be the greatest dancer of all time. As a lead dancer, I dreamed, with all my reading background, to go to India, to go to China. A 6-month tour. No dancer had ever had a chance like that. The Ballet Spectre La Rose, it's a short ballet, it's a 10-minute ballet. He practically doesn't stop jumping. There was always somebody standing in the wings to take me in their arms. I would lean over and gasp before I could go out back on stage for the bows, you know. I was the first artist from a so-called communist country, you know, to ever perform in Japan. So when I went there, they treated me like the last unicorn. And so they gave me special treatment to make me really feel at home. I stayed in that famous Tokyo hotel by Franklin Lloyd, and in the morning, they slipped the newspaper under my door, and I looked at the Tokyo Times, and there was on top my picture in Sylphide. Of all the countries, you know, that I performed in, the Far East, India, China, you know, Philippines, Malaysia, they paid so much attention and appreciated so much the expression of the hand. Once a year, this show in Tokyo, all elite from Japan comes to see this greatest geisha actor, dancer, comes on stage, you know. And the press is suspended in the theater. On stage walks a monstrous furry of a man, you know, maybe 250, 260 pounds, you know, like this, face like all this, and walks with light steps, you know, takes the fan, does tschach, looks, and from that moment on, you see nothing but the most beautiful woman you have ever seen. The hands, the bum, the perfection, the leg, you know, the up, the two, the coquetry, the whole thing, you know. It was amazing. You forgot that this man, then you realized how art transcends all physical handicaps, you see. I created my own ballet company and my own school of the Wenta ballet. Things couldn't have gone better for me. You get in beginners an enthusiasm, you know, and a love of the moment. Like, for instance, I will do what is called a port de bras, the art of carrying the arm, but it involves really the movement of the entire body. When I'm telling them the arm's journey from here to there, and a sense of fulfillment, you know. When you find those moments, you know, of grace, that moment of living in the presence or meditative fulfillment will carry into your private life. The harmony that I produced during my lifetime as a cosmic particle does not disappear with the material disappearance of me, you know. There's a higher energy in us, you know, and I believe in the survival of that higher energy in one form or another. You see, this is total chaos, but there's no total chaos. I believe in the reintegration within that entire design. Oh, you must listen to this.
I hear it from here, man.
Can you? Man, but to the board, this is unbelievable. Holy shit. Wow. Oh my God.
Paloma, cucurucucu, no llores. Las piedras jamás. Paloma, que van a saber de amores.
Who's here, Titus and Sia Mac, back here, back wall here. Okay, so this is a day of storytelling about Stefan, and I'll start off with mine and then be inviting you guys to step up and share yours too. I'm going to talk about going to Burning Man with Stefan. And he needed to, of course, teach his class first on a Friday night or something, and we said we would meet at the front of the entrance of Burning Man, and I hadn't thought at midnight, and I hadn't considered that it was the opening of the whole event. And there was a vicious dust storm, couldn't really see 20 feet in front of you. And I was told that the vehicles were literally backed up for 4 miles. People just waiting to get in and be inspected and to take a place in their camp. And so at midnight, I'm getting really scared, and I see this, looks like a white something come in, and it was like a white Cadillac limousine, and Stefan gets out, dressed in a caftan, like he's like very colorful African outfit, and he was ready for Burning Man. And his driver understood that it was going to be impossible to wait in line and get in properly. So he drove in the opposite side of traffic, in the other lane for miles to get Stefan there on time. Otherwise, he would have been lost at Burning Man, and it all worked out really well. But that's the beginning of the Burning Man adventure with Stefan. On the way back to Las Vegas on his birthday, it was I think his 80th birthday, he drove a 40-foot bus through the desert for several hours and just loved it and had a lot of fun passing people and all of that. Okay, who would like to come up and share something, please?
Is this thing on? Yeah, it is. So I actually never knew Stefan. So my mom's his student. Hey, Mom. So when I was a little one, when I was like, right up to there, my mom would used to take me to his classes, and I remember the times when I would just kind of doze off and kind of just be a little kid and whatever. I would hear Stefan yelling at his students, and kind of in the background, which I thought was kind of funny. So I remember all the times he would yell at my mom, like, "Tamoko, what the hell are you doing?" Start yelling at her over and over, and I would look at my mom, and right after the class was over, I'd be like, "Mom, he's a very grouchy old man," and my mom would be like, "Oh, that's Stefan for you." And I also used to think when I was small, I used to think that that Stefan would probably one day hit one of his students in the leg with his little cane. You know what I mean? I used to think that he would do that, but it's it's a little out of character for him. But I don't know. That's all I want to share. So thanks for listening to me.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carola de la Rocha. I met Stefan when I was about 14 years old. I went for my first dance class downtown, and the teacher there was not Stefan, but she brought him in. And it wasn't the first day of him giving a class, but it was like an introduction to who was going to be teaching. So when I saw him, I said, "That's going to be my teacher." Unfortunately, the teacher who was at the dance studio in downtown LA on 7th Street, she decided to go back to Mexico. She was a prima ballerina over there. So I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? But years later, she came back. She started her school right on 7th Street in downtown LA, and he was coming twice a week. So that's how I met Stefan. Then by the time I was 16 years old, I went to, I think 16 or 17, to Melrose. I know there's some of you here, oldies but goodies, like me, who was taught by him. He was my master teacher, my maestro. And so I went on to have a dance career, but he was always that masterful, as you all know, teacher. And I carried him throughout my life, and I started teaching. He said, you should teach Carola, you should teach Carolita, he would say to me. So I did, and I've always taught what he has taught me. Obviously never to his greatness, but I will always carry that in me. I'm sure all of you will too, and do too. Thank you for listening.
What I want to make clear here is that in my list, Stefan and that teacher and several other people have a check mark behind their name because they understood the importance of internal elegance and artistry in the material that they taught. So if Stefan were here or if he were listening, the first thing I'd like to say to him is, Jak się masz, which is how are you in Polish. And the last thing I'd like to say to him, as I always said to him when I left the studio at the end of each class, was bardzo dziękuję. Thank you very much.
I need to take this off, please. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Now I have to. I'm a 5'10", I think. Okay, I'm gonna go back into some not so recent history. When I was a little black kid, working class black kid in New York, I decided at 13 I wanted to take ballet classes. My parents had no money. It was up to me to figure out how to pay for it. So I went to the Ossining, as in New York, home of Sing Sing, prison. Kept me on the straight and narrow, by the way, when you grow up in close proximity to a federal prison. Okay, so I'm taking ballet classes from an overweight Jewish woman. I was the blackest thing in the class. I was the tallest thing in the class, and I was smirked at. I clearly did not belong. One of the things that I most appreciate about Stefan Wenta is that when I walked into this studio 25 years ago, give or take, I never was made to feel like an outcast. To this day, I will forever be grateful to this man with this thick Polish accent reminding me to keep buttocks under. The thing he did not understand was that as a black girl, it's a little hard to do that. That's why Kim Kardashian has the butt that she has, okay? Let's make it clear. So I am grateful to Stefan for providing that welcoming space. And that's all I have to say.
Hi, I'm trembling because this was too much for me and I'm not ready. But I wrote this a few weeks ago, so Stefan was like a father to me and I'm crushed. Writing anything at this time is extremely difficult. The loss of Stefan is so greatly felt not only by me, but also by many, many others. I was 13 when I started studying ballet with Stefan, and from the first day, he took me under his wing. My first class was an adult class, advanced class. I was the only child in the class, and he said, "Don't worry, just follow the person in front." I remember his first critique, which was, "You look like a little chick breaking out of a shell." After years of training, he made me into a good little dancer. For me, what separated Stefan from all the others was his ability to choreograph something beautiful every single class. I looked forward to doing port de bras and adagio. In those moments, I danced with my heart on my sleeve, and my soul would experience such an elated state. It didn't matter that I was in the classroom. Taking Stefan's combination, and in that fleeting moment, experiencing the joy of relating through dance what the music was expressing to receive his approval. His choreography of even a simple port de bras could be so exquisite that it begged one to exude nothing less than one's whole being. I miss him so dearly, I can barely stand it. I'm lost. But I wanted to say one quote that I'll keep with me forever, which was, he said, Dance is like sculpting in time. Thank you.
I feel like a latecomer. I met Stefan in 1987. I'm one of the later people. We became very dear friends because of mutual friends. And when I met him, I said, Stefan, please go easy. Had a big surgery here. Rushnakov danced with the fever of 104. Why I should care about little things? He immediately twisted. So over the years, the too many to remember, if you dance with your head too far back, why should audience pay $38 to see your nose holes, Esther, please? Like, everything was a lament. It was bigger than everything. But I'll only share one story. I had been traveling, and these are in the days of the answering machines. So, you know, you come in, you press the button, people say different things. There was Stefan. Dear Esther, this is your teacher, Stefan. Wenta. Maybe you would like to come back to the class to preserve the body which at your age you do not deserve to have. Love, Stefan.
Hello, my name is Vincent, and I came. I paid them. I came here about 31 years ago, and of course studied with Stefan, and I wish I had a deep, profound story to tell you, but he taught me how to blow my nose properly. And when I say this, we were in class, and it must have been cold weather, and I was blowing my nose, apparently incorrectly. And he stopped the entire class. It was just as bad as if he was talking to you when he yelled, "What the hell are you doing?" It was that embarrassing. He told me, and the rest of the class who were interested, that you don't blow your nose both together at the same time. What? He said you blow one side, and then you blow the other. Because otherwise, if you blow both, it just goes whatever in your head. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't remember things from Stefan and his gifts. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of blowing my nose the proper way and thinking of Stefan. Thank you.
Hi. There we go. So I've known Stefan for 50 plus years, and I met him in '65. And besides being a student of Stefan's, I became friends, and I got to know Stefan quite well, many occasions. So here's a story about him making paella. Robin, my significant other, she had a birthday, 50th birthday. So it was at Laurent's restaurant, quaint little thing, just a few gathering of people. Stefan was among them. So Stefan was eating the paella. That was the main dish. He says, "Lenny, come over here. That's a really good stuff. I think I can make this for the garden party." So I said, "Oh, that'd be nice." He said, "You will help me." So the day came, and he comes over there, and he says, "Clear the table." And so I took off these papers. "No, the lamps and everything, put them on the floor." So then he grabs this bag of potatoes, And he throws it on the table. Well, they go all over the place. He says, I will make potato. It'll be special paella, potato paella. So I pick up the pieces of, potatoes, and I say, I will wash these off. No, do not wash them. They will burn out in the fire. They will burn out. So I say, well, okay. So he pulls out what I think is like a machete, and he took it, chop, 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 chop. The potatoes, Christ, went all over the place. He gets a bowl, he stores it over, he puts it in the thing. He never had a stove, never, only a hot plate. So he put some oils and stuff in there, or whatever else he had in there, and he put that in. He did some fruit, not some fruit, some vegetables, onions, scallions, everything. There's now the coup de grace. He says, go in the refrigerator, on the bottom drawer, bring out the papers, the stuff in the paper. You will see what I mean. So I take it out. It's fish. Oh, Christ. Shitload of fish. He put everything and put the kitchen sink of fish in there. And then he said, chicken too. So we brought out the chicken. He chop, 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 all of this. Then he says, okay, you watch it and store it a while and don't let it burn. So I said, what the hell? I don't cook. So he's gone. And I'm sitting there with a spatula trying to stir it up. I said, shit, He finally says, how's it going, Lenny? I said, it's good. He says, turn it down a little bit. So, we finally had the paella, and it was a big success. He dished it out to everybody. It was a real winner. And a little later, we're sitting at the table, Stefan and I just there relaxing. He says, well, Lenny, he says, that paella was a success. I think it was better than the restaurants. And I said, it was good. What do you mean good? I said, really good. Well, yes, it was really good, Lenny. Are you enjoying yourself? I said, yes, Stefan, thank you very much. I said, thank you for including me, and I really enjoyed making the paella with you. And he says, Joey, get Lenny another house drink. I said, no, Stefan, I don't think I can have him more. I've had 2 already. I'm a little queasy. What do you mean queasy? I said, well, I'm a little unsure of my footage. He says, stand up, show me. So I stood up and one of these, and he says, Joey, don't give him another drink.
Hello, my fellow Stefan fans. I met Stefan in, I think it was 1970. Bella Lewitsky had given me a scholarship to Cal Arts, and I wanted to check out the ballet teacher there, who at the time was Stefan Wenta. So I was about 16. I went into the class it was at Villa Cabrini at the time, and I was bending backward, and Stefan came over and went like this and says, so, are you married? I said, I'm 16. Now, Stefan and Mia Slavenska were complete opposites. Stefan was all about feeling. And when he was teaching at Melrose, he'd go, damn it, stop. Don't you know when this music was written? There were lambs. They were wearing bows. They were on the hillside. I don't see lambs. I see clatter. So Stefan wasn't there when I went to Cal Arts, but afterwards I found him at Melrose, which was the ultimate of any ballet class anywhere. and it was wild. And if you were in that front row, you better know what you were doing, or you were just whisked off the floor. So not only were there ballet dancers, there were all jazz dancers, all the best jazz dancers were there. Jeff Goldblum was there, Bud Cort was there, Stephanie Powers was there, Carol Lindley was there, Patrick Swayze was there, Jenny Agutter, Jane Seymour, and a lot of young, young ingenues, which Stefan was, he was choreographing a dance for me, and I went up, and it was just going to be me and him there, so I kind of snuck up there and I was kind of looking in to see what was going on. I go, damn it, girl, just come in here. What's the matter with you? I go, well, I don't know what's going on. What do you mean you don't know what's going on? I said, well, you know what I'm talking about. And he goes, Jana, I want you to know one thing. I am like a port. I have many ships. They come in from all around the world. I am a service port. So there was a woman there that we called the Bear. And she had a big fur coat. She had 2 big white Alsatians. And she would come in and we were all like, whoa, in her Bentley. And we're like, well, he's going to have a hard time, getting rid of this one because some power here, right? And later he said, oh, Jana, her husband was a doctor and he was dying of cancer. So I would go over there in the evening. I would play chess with him. And after we were done, I would go service his woman. He was so very grateful to me. And they were loaded, the Bentley, and so she was giving him these watches, and Stefan had a watch fetish. He still had one. Remember the one he still had? Right? So she had given him all these watches. And then she said, you don't love me, you just want watches. He said, I will prove to you that I do not want the watches and that I love you. So he goes, meet me at the Santa Monica Pier. I will prove to you. So she meets him at the Santa Monica Pier, and in a paper bag, he's got all the watches. He's going, I'm going to drop these. Well, it was like a couple of $100,000 in watches in the bag. I said, you never in a million years would have dropped that bag. He goes, hey, of course not. So there's a few of my, you can ask me later about the better stories, okay?
Anyone else?
So I'm Kim Flowers, and I came here in 1992 from New York via my hometown in Bisbee, and coming to the studio was the savior of my existence here. Being able to be here with you all and the ones that know the joy we received here. I mean, it was a hard love, but I just want to acknowledge all of you, and I have a poem for you. It's a Native American Indian poem, and I kind of had to tweak it a little. I give you this one thought to keep. I am with you still. I do not sleep. I'm 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunshine on ripening grain. I am the powerful thunderstorm rain. I am the swift, uplifting hush of birds in flight. I am the diamonds at night. Don't think of me as gone. I am with you still in each new dawn. And when you lay your hand upon the bar, know I am guiding you near and far. Stefan, our maestro, our friend, our muse, our inspiration, we thank you. I thank you. I'll carry on your legacy as I teach the beginning of the bar warm up to my students, my little 7-year-olds, and I ask them, how do you feel? They're 7 years old. And tendu plie, the vertical line. I will carry your legacy on and on in my time. Thank you.
Gotta rip the Band-Aid off and do this. Okay. Hi, I'm Rosie. If Stefan knew you as a dancer, he knew you as a person. And I remember I was going, I've done this story already, so I'm surprised I'm already getting emotional. So I remember when I was just getting to know him more, I was only maybe taking his class for a year or two. And I went through a really hard time in my life. And when I started to come to class to help process and move forward, as I'm sure we've all used his presence in his class for our own healings in different ways. And I finally started to feel on the other side of it. And he came up to me and he said, Rosie, I said, yes, you're starting to accept yourself. And that moment has lived with me for so long because I just said, how do you know? How do you know? And he just knew. He knew when you were ready for class and when you didn't want to get called on and stood in the back. My favorite Stefan story is actually a year ago from around now is I like to call it my full moon class. So his vision was starting to get a little worse and he couldn't see dancers in the back as often. And so he would tell me, Rosie, you have to stand in the front. And it was one of those days where I knew I wasn't sharp, but I looked around and I was like, okay, there's not a lot of people in class to demonstrate today. And so I'll bite the bullet, I'll stand in the front. And he called on me for, I want to say, 70% of the bar, and I messed up every time. And I was like, can you just call on someone else? And finally, when he finally got frustrated with me, he said, what the hell's wrong with you today? Is it a full moon or something? And then everyone was like, actually, it is a full moon today. And he looked at me, and he said, oh, then I have no right to be upset with you. And I was just so happy that this was a class I was recording because to have him take a correction back, I think was like a 1 in a million thing. Yeah. My favorite part though was the next girl demonstrated, nailed it first time, and he looked at me and he said, she wasn't affected by the moon. Another favorite thing that he's always said to me is, I think when we hear him speak, it can shatter us to our core, whether it makes us super self-conscious or it's something that he could have been best friends with Socrates and it'll live in our minds forever. And there was a class where someone had done a turn and may not have put their full effort into it. And he said, what the hell are you doing? You know, everything you do must be sacred to you. And I just remember looking around and going like, did anyone else feel that? And so I think we can all agree that whether it was in this classroom or talking to him after class, sitting at his home playing chess and having shots of tequila, our most sacred moments are with him.
Oh, that's okay. I think it's all right. Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Teddy, and David Sukonic and Ariel brought me to Stefan's class, and when I was probably 16, maybe like 1975, and that Stefan and Stefan's class opened a whole world for me. I'm so grateful, because I was living in Palmdale, and it was pretty dull. I mean, it was a rough place for a teenager. And going to Stefan's class, meeting Yana, Vincent, David and Ariel, and all the different people that passed through there was so important to me in my life. I mean, I moved, I had a little apartment near the studio, I had a job near the studio. I mean, it became sort of the focus of my life, despite the fact that I cannot dance my way out of a paper bag. I am not a dancer. I tried with everything I had to be a dancer, but I don't have the gift. I have other gifts. It's fine. But Stefan tried to move me along. I was athletic and I worked hard, but I danced with him in the chorus at a show in the Scottish Rite Temple. And I was really young, and it was unfortunately videotaped. And later when he watched it, he said, "Theodora, everyone in the chorus going right, and you left." And that was kind of the beginning of the end for the class. But I stayed, I would come and just casually drop in, and the people that I met there were instrumental in my life. So I'm deeply grateful to Stefan and everything that he brought all of us. Thank you.
I think I got it. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. And for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Randy, and I'm going to set a timer in the best interest of memorial fatigue and be brief. And that's what comes when you work in television. And as we pay homage, and I piggyback on all of you who are grateful for this gathering, grateful for all the people who changed my life, my career. I grew up here, but I got put up on Stefan late in my career by this guy, hard at work. In the background, Gary Franco, who can't be with us today, but I'm sure he's here, right, in spirit, right? But growing up here, taking from everybody in town, doing all the jobs, whatever, my life changed when I came in this door. And I know you have questions. I have a sty and an eye infection, and I'll get to this in a second. But, fun fact, he made me a better storyteller. He taught me how you could take the nuances of the music and the story and blend them as one and connect to your audience. And when I tell you, I started studying here, I was here for a good 10 years, I had to turn work down. It's because of Stefan, I have a family. It's because of Stefan, my family has what they have as a nest egg. It all happened in this studio. And as I look at the time, I have to say, when I came out of the second surgery on this foot, after they rebuilt this ankle, they said, we opened it up and there was nothing left. And I said, well, what do you mean there was nothing left? He said, you had no cartilage. And I was like, well, where did it go? He goes, it's from jumping. And I said, oh, I know exactly where I did that. And I did that in this room. 3 panels over on the mirror, not splitting the sides, because that was the skinny mirror. Right? Because you know, right? And you know how we all fought for that space, right? we had to fight for it. Because here, you're like looking like, you know, somebody from The Simpsons, and then you straddle the other side, and you look kind of like yourself, but not really, right? But my point of this is, there were milestones that were made in this room with that man, right? Who had the audacity to have a shots contest at a Saturday night party, knowing damn well we had that class at 11 o'clock on Sunday, but we still showed up. And my favorite memory of Stefan, and they're about to play me off, was of him going by Gary and I and tapping on the bar, and he looked with dismay, and he said, my boy, the vodka, it is all over my floor. Thank you all for coming. This is awesome.
Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. I guess Stefan should be thanking you. But I guess since we're telling stories, I should tell about Mexico because those are some stories. First off, he used to go to Mexico with Steve McQueen and James Coburn. So imagine driving to Mexico with Steve McQueen driving. So Steve and I would go with him. Steve would play Steve McQueen, and I'd play Jimmy Coburn. And we'd drink tequila. The last time we went, Stephanie came, and we had more tequila. We had a lot of tequila. And Steve passed out near the swimming pool. And then I wasn't doing so well either. Stephanie, for some reason, was fine. I'm not sure what that's all about. But so about 2 in the morning, 2:30, I came and stumbled into the bed. Steve was still out by the pool. I put a blanket by him. He said, "Get away from me." Get. So Stefan starts ripping me. He said, "Where's Steven?" So he's outside still. He wouldn't come with me. He says, "You have to go get him right now." He says, "You guys have embarrassed us. We can never come back here again. We're leaving in the morning. We're going to have to sneak out of here." I said, "No, maestro, let's leave him." He said, "You go get him right now." So, of course, I got Steve. I bring Steve in, and he gives him the same speech. "You've embarrassed us. We can never show our face here again. We're leaving in the morning." And you know what Steve said? "No, we're not." And that was about it, because if we had tried to drive back the next day, it wouldn't have been so good. The only other thing is he was a damn good chess player. I probably lost over 1,000 chess games to him. So that's about it.
Hi, I'm Nicole. This is hard because I feel like I'm going to start to cry. I just said this to Cindy. I'm going to cry. Stefan and I had well, you guys know that were in class with me. We had a relationship of sorts, but I did adore him. He taught me so much. As an artist, I used to say, even when I wasn't performing, when I could come to class, I still felt like I got to perform. So my soul was fulfilled. So as an artist, I just felt fulfilled. Never mind the fact that I was in class with people that inspired me. Cindy, Lisa, Vince, Gary. It made me laugh. Joey. I'd walk back, he's yelling at me again. And Joe would be like, "It's okay, just let's do this. We'll do it together," you know. But the biggest thing that Stefan gave to me was my husband and my family. I met Mark in class, and it was very funny because at the time, Robin and Lenny were dating. There was another couple that was dating. It was Laura and Robin. What was Robin? It was Laura and who? And Eddie. Yeah. Well, they were very funny because they would be very, like, affectionate with one another, and Stefan would go crazy. Remember, he would just be like, "Stop, separate, get away," you know. So when Mark and I started to date, we would walk into the studio separately, even though we drove together. So anyways, we thought we were so sly and we had it going on and nobody knew. And one day in class, about 6 months into it, Stefan walks up to me and goes, "You need to pay attention because I know you and Mark. And I go, and he goes, "I know, I've known all along." Oh along. So other than, yeah, so he gave me so much as a dancer, as a teacher, as an artist, and my family. So I'm really blessed.
Hello. Well, I just want to really say that as a dance teacher, that I really felt like there are teachers out there that give class, and there's teachers out there that teach class, and that my time with Stefan was really with someone who taught class, and I felt like I always left class with something, and it might not have been a note to me, but it was something about the music or about the physicality or whatever that I could take back with me when I worked with students. And I actually took class from Stefan when I was 16. I had just learned to drive, and I went to the class in Melrose. And at the time, he said to me, "Oh, you should take more often. I will give the class for free for you if you will come." But I could never get there because I never get the car. And but then, many years later, I came back here after I was already teaching. And my two awesome memories of Stefan was one where he'd have his cane. I don't know if anyone is in the class one day where he hit the cane so hard it shattered. That was an awesome moment. And the other one, I just was like, this is the best. Because you felt like you were in a film. And the other was that there was a new girl in class, and she was taking class. With my students, that I would always say, look, if he yells at you a lot, it just means he loves you. So don't cry. Just know that he thinks you're good, and so he's gonna, So there was this new girl in class, and he was kind of giving her some attention, the first day of class, and I was going like, oh, all right, okay. And then he walked by and he said, "You're doing very well. You have had class before from a bad teacher." That's all.
Hi there, my name is Heide, and Stefan called me Heidele because he spoke fluent German, and I think many other languages fluent as well. So we kind of were Landsmen. So the one thing I am sorry about is I wanted to come up here one more time, open that door, walk in where he was sitting, and he would say, Heidele, long time no see, and now I miss that. But I want to tell you one thing. Do you remember his wonderful parties in his backyard? Okay. Whenever I came in, I kind of helped him along, but when I came in, he would say, Heide, komm mal schnell in die Küche. That means, Heide, come fast into the kitchen. And he opened his freezer, he had a bottle of vodka in there and 2 shot glasses, and he said, here we go, we have to have 1 shot before we get started.
I'm gonna try so hard. Oh wow. Unfortunately for me, this is not the first time I've lost a ballet master. I have no idea what I want to say. When I was 15, I lost my first ballet mentor, Yuri Grigoriev. And oddly enough, I decided that I hated ballet. And I spent a good 3.5 years saying that I hated it. I was taking Russian ballet and that I was terrible at it and that my body was not made for it. And I'm incredibly jealous that I didn't find Stefan sooner. I do remember my first class with him when I was, I think, 16 and a half, like 2016. And just from the moment I walked in, I felt that same acceptance of loving ballet for exactly what it is.
And I had never met anyone so masterful in just how they teach and how they communicate movement to every level of dancer and every type of person. I couldn't believe that I had spent so much time hating something that I now love so dearly and see so much value in. And I really owe it all to Stefan. I feel like he saw something in me that I did not see in myself, and something that I did not feel since I had Yuri. So I feel like they would be thick as thieves, and I really need to stop with the older ballet men who treat you terribly, because both of them were just incredibly harsh, and I don't know what it is about me that loves that. But I think that they would have loved each other, and I think Yuri would have been very glad that I found Stefan and I found my love of classical dance again. And that's it.
Hi, I'm Lynn Stewart. I'm a friend of Jana's, and Jana introduced me to Stefan, and for that I'm always grateful. And I was a Sunday 9:30 beginner dancer, and I'm sure you all know, like, you know, when you get to the bar and you do your stretches, Stefan would help you. And it was so incredibly painful. And I had to stay, I said to him, Stefan, if you do this, I'm going to have to go to the chiropractor. And I said, it takes me like 3 days to recover from you helping me with my stretches. And then one day there was this beautiful little 19-year-old girl in front of me. She was blonde and tiny, and this was her first ballet class with Stefan. Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. There was his first ballet class with Stefan, and she was nervous and scared, and he came over and he helped her. And she was in so much pain, and I just couldn't take it. I said, Stefan, stop it. Stop it. She doesn't like that, and she's in pain. And he looked at me and said, she's Polish, she can take it. Another story that Jana reminded me of is I came back to class and I came up to the desk and I said, I'm sorry, Stefan. I said, I wasn't in class last week, I got hit by a car, which was true. And then he said, if you would come to class regularly, you could have gotten out of the way. And I was going to the Agape Church at the same time as taking beginning ballet. And I had to sneak out of ballet class when everybody went to the center of the room, and to make the 11 o'clock Agape service. And sometimes he would catch me, and sometimes he wouldn't. And he said to me, this time he caught me, and he said, Lynn, where are you going? And I went, I'm going to church, Stefan, I'll pray for you. And he looked at me and he smiled. And that's how I remember him, smiling at me. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Judith. Hi, Kim. So I just wanted to comment that when I moved here, I spent most of my 20s as a professional dancer in Berlin, in Germany. And when I landed in Stefan's, Berlin had become my true home. I was always an artist without a home until I landed there and worked very hard to blossom. And when I first landed in LA, it felt like the outback of Australia to me. It was like where are the people who are artists? I mean, where are they? And a friend of mine told me to go here. And so I just wanted to talk about the OG, because there's a lot of OG people in here, many of them way more OG than me with Stefan. But I met him like end of the 80s, early 90s. And we spoke not just German together, Heidele, but also French, because he didn't want me to lose my French. But we only spoke German together when it was our Geheimsprache, which Heidi knows means our secret language. And the thing that I think spoke to me the most about Stefan and his training was just the fact that he was so informed by his entire spectacular stratospheric professional career, that when he came in and just did something like this, you felt the La Scala, you felt the Paris Opera, you felt the Royal, you felt the Met, you felt it all, just the way he would simply gesture. And so for me, having grown up as an international dancer in Europe, I thought suddenly, oh, this is my home. This is where I actually feel at home in Los Angeles, with my people, with my dancer friends, with my maestro who understands me in at least 3 languages and probably, as someone else said, many, many more. He understood the language of women, sorta. And the language of all of the goings on in our lives. Like for a while I was super broke and my boyfriend would give me a check for class and he would look at it and go, yeah, that's good, he should pay for your class. And he was just really that way. He always got it. And for all of his peccadillos, I mean, we could tell good stories, bad stories, and crazy stories. We all have many, and we've heard a lot of them today. He was really the OG. They broke the mold when they made that guy, and we're all really, really, really lucky we got to participate in his life.
Hi, I'm Mark, Nicole's husband. I really wasn't planning on saying anything today for various reasons, mostly nerves, but being in this room, I haven't been in here for a while, and there was something that really struck me in your film when Stefan said that he believed that we're all matter. And standing back there listening to everybody's wonderful stories and realizing how many people he touched, I'd like to think that he is that matter and he's in this room here with us. And, I honor him. It was a huge, so many nuances, just a huge chapter in my personal life, meeting him and coming to him. I was studying with the late Peggy Fury at the time, and she used to tell us all in class, the guys, got to get out of the gym, you've got to go take dance, Afro-Brazilian, ballet, whatever, or you're never going to play a king or a prince or anything like that. So I really pushed myself to try to take some things, and one day in a yoga class, somebody was talking about Stefan, and I overheard them, and that's how I ended up here. So the first day I came in, I just came with jeans thinking there was going to be a bench or something to watch class. And he says, come here, my boy. And brought me back to, I don't remember if his desk was over here back then, yeah. And he pulled out this raggedy pair of dirty white canvas shoes. I said, but I don't have any sweats or anything. He goes, you'll get tights eventually. And I was thinking, tights. And so he gave me the shoes and forced me basically to just start dancing. So the class was packed. I remember there was a bar over here. I used to love just standing over here because I felt like I was out of everybody's way over here. And then days when it was less packed, I was sitting back there thinking, I remember standing over by that one open window where Vince is over there. And, there was a thing about Stefan just, you just coming here, those of you who are dancers know more than me. it just made me feel like an artist. At the time, I wanted so badly just to be able to be an artist. And I remember autumn days, and it would be raining, and I'd get that spot over there, and I'd look out at the tree that's still there, and it'd be dripping with water. And I felt like I was in Chicago again, or New York or something, you know, watching some dance thing, and that I was a part of something just super wonderful, because everybody else would be in here on the floor, you know, stretching through with their torn leg warmers and everything, and I just felt like I was part of something. And I don't know, I feel like I just want to say something. Just Stefan, I know you're here, and all these people here that I just honor you for what you gave me. The fact that, you know, I met my wife here, and just the person he was so dynamic, so full of life, so interesting. I remember feeling extremely nervous all the time coming in here. A couple classes in, I was trying to do whatever turns across the floor, and at first he was kind to me, and then after a handful of classes, one in the middle started banging his cane, and he said, he goes, what is this? You like dance like a gorilla. And, you know, for what it's worth, it broke my heart at the time. I was like, holy shit. And I didn't come back for, I think, you know, over a month or something. And I was in that yoga class, and the girl that had told me about him said, hey, how's class going and everything? I said, you know what. And she said, are you not going? And so I told her, and she said, oh, don't you know it's Stefan? That means he loves you. So I got kind of introduced to the dance world and, you know, idiosyncrasies of that. But yeah, just so many wonderful memories and so many nuances and things. And I guess I'll end. We all heard our fair share of what the hell are you doings over the years. So my little favorite was very early on. Maybe only been here a couple days or whatever. Really wanted to get good and follow the things he said. And so I was standing over there at the bar. Class had ended. And I thought, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to work really hard on my fifth position and standing and holding myself correctly and everything. And this little guy, little puck type guy came up, you know, very effeminate, and I was at the bar, and he knelt down in front of me, and I'm thinking, okay, what the hell's going on here? And he reached up and grabbed my thighs, and he's like pushing on my thighs, and so you've got to turn out from the inside. And I was just standing there freaking out, and from the desk I hear, what the hell are you doing? Get away from him.
I'm going to take this moment to say hello to Stefan's family who are watching us in Gdansk. Iwo, Iwana, wish you were here, but you sort of are. And to share a moment, sort of quiet moment, that let me see a different side of Stefan. He would come for Christmas vacation to a beach house, and I wanted to show him, you know, this car and drive on the beach with him, and I was really excited to share that with him. And we got stuck in the snow, and we couldn't go anywhere. Tried all kinds of things to get out, and called AAA, and it's like, It's like, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no reason for you to be stressing and upset. Just, Charlie, relax. And that was, I think, a secret to how he kept peace in his heart. I think he mellowed a lot after 2005 or so. And he said, Charlie, you've never seen me this calm, have you? I was like, you're very calm. And that was why, because the things that he didn't stress, the things that he couldn't do anything about. So.
Hello, my name is Jascha, if people don't know me. I wanted first of all to thank to people, the Charlies that organized this event. Amazing dedication. I think we should applaud them. Only after Stefan passed away, I figured out how important Stefan was in the life of Charlie and how much he influenced his life. And it's a very touching story. I really applaud you, Charlie, for this. Also, I want to thank to a lot of people. I don't know anybody's names that helped to Stefan in the last few years with him. You have to understand that I know Stefan for not as much as you guys, from age 16, but I know him at least 17 years when I fall out in the studio. And I decided that I want to have the studio, and I did it. I met Stefan first time. I met him in a magic class here at night. The studio was beautiful here inside. Outside it was ugly and disgusting, but it was so beautiful. Music, people, everybody looked so beautiful. I fell in love with the studio and the building, and I decided, as you know, a lot of people, I did the remodeling with the studio and the whole the building without money because I just liked it. And I exchanged it with the owner. And actually, I saved the studio and the building because I knew that if I won't take it over, I just figured out in 2 years, probably building will be sold and nothing will happen. I know I met Stefan, and I remember him from the time 16 or 15 years ago at my birthday party in the studio. He was dancing Polish polka with a beautiful Russian guest. And then at a time, a few months ago, that he was sitting here in a handicapped chair and still was teaching. It was amazing. He was in a disabled chair here in the corner and he was teaching. So it was a really full life that I met him. And I don't have a speech, so I'll tell you what I remember. I remember for years, Stefan coming, opening the code, and he's going with his bag. He has a beautiful brown, yellow bag. He was moving to that corner. Always at the same time, he taught me integrity of a dance teacher. He was always working. He never missed the class. Always, until that extent that we were doing a remodeling, we were supposed to close. But I knew that for Stefan, to cancel class was a disaster. So we worked around it, and he was okay. He really was helped us. People probably remember when was it, 14, 15 years ago. We did just stop every day 1 hour before the class and was cleaning. It was a hell, but we never canceled Stefan class. Never. Yeah, his voice, his hand, when he was shaking my hand and end of all his last 2 years, he didn't call me Yashin. He was calling me Yashinka. He really liked me and he suddenly understood me. I remember his hand, when you push a hand, shaking it all the time. Will always remember, last month even, before he died, passed away, I don't know how properly to say in English, a few months ago, I called his home. How's Stefan? What he's doing? I was keeping his place. He tried to pay for this. I didn't want to put anybody instead of him. There are so many people who are coming to take it out. And he said, I'm sorry, he's doing so bad. We're going to call to his relative. I said, prepare for the worst. In 2 days, Stefan called me in totally normal voice. Yasha, I'm back. I'm coming to teach. Don't worry about anything. I was shocked. I didn't understand this, but I really liked it. And hard for me to believe that it's over. You understand? Because he was so strong in his power, desire to work. And I understand about Stefan, that Stefan, it's an example of, first of all, a man, what's the importance of the work for the man. He was working until the age 93. I was telling to everybody, look, dancers always 10 years look younger than everybody. Why? Why? Because they listen to music with their body, it's vibration. So good, and work. He was very, he was a very happy man. He was a very happy man. He is actually maybe not a lot of people know, but he is a child pretending to be an adult. He was very sensitive. In a good time, all artists are sensitive. It's already not interesting, okay? Sensitive, fragile, it's interesting. That's why he has a temper. Nobody could say him anything. When we had to cancel his class because of amazing filming, we had in a family, in a coffee shop, we're talking about voting, who is going to call to Stefan, because nobody wanted to talk to Stefan. How many times I was planning to talk to him and said, Stefan, you have to be a little bit nicer with the student because they're coming and crying. I saw myself, people that came to first class, and he was screaming on them, and screaming on them. But it was a part of the probably image, this old Russian, Polish school of, old teacher. It's a very beautiful image with a stick. By the way, I probably have 2 items. One of them is a stick. If somebody wants to have his stick, I had actually 2 sticks, spare one. And what I have, very interesting that I have the player. I bought for him a player that nobody used the CD player besides Stefan. Okay, nobody uses Stefan. So I had this player already, and I was very scared that it's always going. So the only anxiety that I had that hundreds of the time he was waking me up on Sunday morning. It's always happening. He doesn't know how to use it. Why there is no sound? So this is what only paranoia that I have. So I have this CD player. I can donate to give to somebody. I don't feel like throwing away. It's in my office. But, I don't like to get rid of those things. Yeah. You fix this player so much, so I can give it. What else I can tell about Stefan? Yeah, he knew because of anxiety about him being sensitive, organize his life. He knew it was a studio and the way to the studio home in his books that he was writing, that I heard about this so much, and I never read it, but one time I think he started to forget this book here in printed form, so maybe we have a chance to read it. It's very interesting. There's a lot of stories, but the most important thing that I have to tell you is that in probably the last 2 years or at least year, he has achieved it. He has achieved so much. He achieved, there is a way in somebody's human life when somebody was born, he's studying, he's want to show something, he want to tell something, and then he become a teacher. Stefan was a teacher. What's the difference between being teachers at Ghana and what's happening here? Legacy. Stefan left legacy. Legacy is that I saw, and you have to understand that like 15 years here listening 6 hours ballet music, the same music, takes time. It was sometimes a torture, new type of torture, listening to the same ballet music for 15 years. It was not easy experience for me. And I found it's amazing that there's a lot of students, a lot of clapping after the class. You see, never mind who, but they really felt, and he was happy. You look at him when they're clapping, it's a happiness. I think this is a happiness of every teacher who would like to achieve the status. And will I miss him? I don't know if I lost him to miss. You understand? Because his voice always in my ear. I remember his handshake. I remember his calm. And we still, last thing I tell you, we still tell, if you want to put on a desk, we tell, go to Stefan's desk.
And a belated, heartfelt thank you for sharing your most beautiful studio with us for this event. Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much, man. Okay, one last story about Stefan coming and playing Santa. Christmas time, elaborate outfit, come in over the dunes with a bag armed with the gift that Lily wanted when she was 2 or 3. Yeah, and I saw the performer come out in him. He really became a character when he came in and laughed and lifted her up. And the next year when he came with the trumpet that she had wanted, he had had too much to drink a little bit, and he sat down and wanted to have a conversation, and I think blew the whole Santa cover. He planted that seed. You asked a question that had something to, like, Santa wears the same shoes as Stefan or something like that. And anyway, he was a great Santa. The If there's not anybody else, we can call it a day. Anybody else? Sure. I'd also like to thank Lenny and Robin for inviting everybody here. And Stefan's dearest friend in the world.
I think Stefan's dancers' lives would be a lot worse if it wasn't for folks like Robin and Lenny and Joey helping Stefan out. All the emails, all the getting Stefan to and from class. I mean, especially the last couple of years, and from the hospital and all the partying in Mexico. Thank you, Joey. So I'm Frankie, my boy. But by the way, if I get that CD player, I'm gonna reenact that scene from the movie Office where the guy takes the bat and smashes the printer. That's what I'm gonna do to that CD player. So I just want to kind of talk about what Stefan gave to me, and I'll share my favorite correction from Stefan, and then also a secret that occurred in class that came about of a correction. Okay, so the three things that Stefan gave to me, one is, I started Stefan as an adult, so he kind of gave me a second childhood. So I didn't dance growing up, and coming to class every week, every evening, it really gave me a chance to kind of have that second childhood. And I think for a lot of us, it was a way to kind of maybe relive some of our childhood and dance that we experience in other parts of our lives. The second thing he gave me was kind of a home away from home. And that has a lot to do with him and also all of the dancers that he brought into the studio. A lot of friends, and you can definitely show up every week. You'll see the same teacher and you'll see the same dancers week after week, year after year. And I think that's really, really special. The third thing is his classes were kind of work away from work, right? It was a place where you can come and work on yourself as a dancer, as an artist, as a human being. And I think everybody had lots of beautiful words to say about that. Okay, so that's the serious part. So my favorite correction from Stefan, I'm an engineer, so I kind of call it the intractable correction. And the correction is, when you do something and you actually do it right or okay, he would say, yes, but you didn't do it before. Okay? Until someone invents time travel and you go back and kill your early self and then do it right, I don't know how you come back from that. Okay, so the next one, did you guys know that an alien actually visited Stefan's class on a Sunday? No. And you know how I know? Because he had the perfect correction for that alien. He said, dance more human.
I just want to say thank you to everyone because your love and the community that this class has been such a home for so many people. And I was sharing with someone the thing that feels so hard is this has been a sanctuary. And throughout all the chaos of life, knowing that I could come to class on Wednesday and on Sunday, it was like this breath of fresh air to get to see my people and hug everyone and check in. And the thing that I treasure so much about Stefan is that he taught me ballet wasn't this thing that we do. It was this way of measuring where we were in that present moment, because ballet never changes. The only thing that changes is the way that we take class. And I pray that we all can take that with us as we continue to move through life, because that, I feel like, is the essence of Stefan, is that he used ballet to understand the inner soul of people. And I'm just so grateful that we all in this life have gotten to experience that, and I really pray that we continue to move that forward in whatever we do, because that, to me, is what life is about, like finding these places that allow us to understand who we are more and connect to other people and to work on being the better version of ourselves. So thank you all for being a part of my process in finding that, and I pray that we all continue to stay connected and continue to find that in our life. So.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I just wanted to say that one of the things that always struck me the most about Stefan was his passion for his students. He did not care if you were a beginner. He did not care if you were on your way to being a prima ballerina. If you were passionate about dance, he was passionate about you. We joke a lot about Stefan yelling, but we all know that he was a teddy bear inside. He was a Polish Virgo. My grandfather was a yeller and was a teddy bear inside, and he was a Polish Virgo. My father is a yeller. Friends did not want to come to my house to play. But he's a teddy bear on the inside, and he's a Polish Virgo. And so I feel like I had this intrinsic understanding of this mode of operating. And I promise you that every time Stefan said, "What the hell are you doing?" it was because he saw more in you than you saw in yourself in that moment. And I hope that you will take that with you forever.
My name is Jay Dortch, and because of Stefan, he saved my life. I wasn't gonna speak today, but I had to. I was gonna leave, but I couldn't. Stefan and I had a special relationship. I was coming to his class since college, about 40 years. And when I became ill, I went to Stefan and I told him that I was ill, but I still wanted to take his classes. A lot of you didn't know that I needed a lung. I was coming to class, dragging alcohol, bringing oxygen, and I continued to come. While I was in the hospital, the doctors told me that the only reason I was alive because I kept taking dance class. So on June 8th, 2021, I got a lung. And I just wanted to share it with you guys. And I just want to thank all of you and Stefan, and I just want to tell you guys, keep dancing, no matter what. It can save your life. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Camille. I met Stefan in 2007. My favorite line by Stefan was, "What are you doing? What is this ballet? Why are you doing ballet? We don't do ballet here, we dance." And I love that idea because in a movement, it's what you put into the movement that matters. It's not, as somebody else said, ballet is the same over time, but how you interpret it is what matters. When I first met Stefan, my husband got very ill. I had just gotten married. Sorry. And one day in class, he took me aside and he says, "You look gray." And I was like, "Yeah, I am gray inside." And he said, "We're gonna go back home to my house and have a drink." And I had heard stories about Stefan, so I looked at him and I was like, "You sure I should go back to your house?" And he says, "You're safe." He's like, "You're way too young. When I was younger, I would have probably hit on you, but you're way too young." So I went to his house and he said, "Look, I want to show you something. I'm writing. I'm writing my memoirs. I'm writing my life story. And life is a long road. So weather through it. Keep dancing. Your husband's going to be okay. Sorry, I didn't realize to get so emotional about this. My husband's fine. He's totally great. He's a cancer survivor. I danced here through my pregnancies. I have 2 little children. And we moved to the East Coast during the pandemic because my husband's immune system is compromised. And I told them when we came back, we're going to go back to Stefan's studio, because they stayed in the corner there on the bench, and they would build things out of magnet tiles or little wooden blocks, or they would draw. And they would come with me every Sunday, either both of them or one of them, and they would sit in the corner, and for the most part, they were quiet. Sometimes they were noisy. But Stefan loved children and really was a child at heart, and children know in adults when they see that spark on the inside. And he brought them this kaleidoscope, this big kaleidoscope, which they were very obsessed with. And I had to explain to them when we came back, Stefan has actually passed away. So we won't be coming back with him here. And they are looking forward to coming to the Sunday class that is a continuation of Stefan's spirit, because he's still in this room every time we dance. So Yasha, thank you for letting us dance here more and more and more. Thanks.
So nervous. I don't really want to talk, but I want to talk. My name is Beverly. I met Stefan when I took a dance class at Santa Monica College, and he came and subbed, and he said, "You should come to my class." And for various reasons, I think I broke my foot or something, I didn't get to go for years, and I didn't forget. I didn't forget at all. And I came when I was pregnant with my daughter. And most of you guys know my daughter, who's 11 now. But I really want to thank you guys. Like, the community that this is really meaningful to me on an incredibly deep level. And I hope that we continue to get together. I was out of town for the funeral and all the other stuff, so I'm really incredibly grateful to have this space right now. There were a couple things I think I wanted to touch upon, and they're all emotional. So there you go, nothing funny. One is, I think that we have heartfelt prayers, things that are really deeply true to our heart and our soul. And for me, that's artistry, and like he was talking about with the novels and like identifying, like I always identified really, truly deeply with an artistic space, but I didn't grow up with that at all. My mom says I would like get up on the crib and like bounce, like I loved to dance, but I didn't get to take a dance class. I didn't get to take anything. My very first dance class was the one I signed myself up for in college. And yet my heart had this yearning to be around, like, sorry. I don't know how to speak when I feel. I mean, that's why I dance. To be around real art was like my biggest dream. And like, what odds did I have of having that? And I did. So that's why I was always in class, maybe late, but you had to kick me out. Like, class is a prayer to me. It's sacred. And to have this ballet master, to have the chance to be around something like that, it's the world. It's the absolute world to my heart. And to have community and family. When my little girl's dad and I split up, I live walking distance from here. I thought, if I can't see my child every day, I need to have a place that is safe to me. And I picked here. I picked here to be near. And today I actually was with my little girl and her dad. We went to the pumpkin patch. And I guess I didn't realize, he passed away when I was traveling. My little girl's dad hadn't known, but he's been here many, many times. And he said to me, Stefan, I told him I haven't been able to take ballet, I haven't been able to take classes, and I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just my time and space to process. But he goes, you can't stop. Movement didn't stop with him. Dance didn't stop with him. And he put all that time into you. Like, not just anyone, he put that time into you. And he goes, Bev, he really, really liked you. And he's not a compliment giver. He's not a sensitive person. To have this person just randomly say to me, I always knew he liked you. I always knew he had that space for you. That really, really touched me. So thank you guys so sincerely for all of you. And thank you to this guy.
All right, I'll try to be brief. Hi, my name is Denise, and I bonded with Stefan over a trauma bond, and it was not his teaching style. We actually both almost died in Mexico. It's one of the stories that he used to tell regularly after the incident. I started training with him when I was 9 years old. A few years later, me and one of my good friends who was also training here, Gabrielle, and my mother, paired with Stefan, drove to Mexico for a 4th of July weekend. And if you've ever driven in the car with Stefan, God help us, we made it. That was the first near-death experience. The second was he went for a swim and he came back and said, oh my gosh, you guys don't believe it, like I almost didn't make it. We went back to a restaurant later in that evening and the server was like, oh my gosh, be careful, you guys, some dumb American almost drowned. And Stefan was like, that was almost me. So that was one. We get back to the hotel. Dripping wet, I grabbed the defective refrigerator, started getting electrocuted. Mom froze, Gabrielle was like, oh shit, and I was like literally getting electrocuted by this refrigerator. Stefan wakes up from his nap, rips me away from the refrigerator, and here I am today still alive. So that was our bonding story, how he saved my life physically. I am from South Central LA at 9 years old, brought to meet this living legend who showed me a whole nother world of arts and culture. My professional dancing career was very short-lived, but I now teach yoga and Pilates, and there's not a class I walk out of that someone doesn't say, are you a dancer? I'm like, yeah, I am. My teacher had a cane and it stayed with me. His teachings never die. So thank you all for your inspirations throughout the years and for the opportunity to share this memory of this brilliant man who touched all of our lives.
Hi, I'm Stacy, and I had to write my stuff down. I'm lucky enough to have known Stefan for 42 years. I was 10 years old when I met him. And we fulfilled, besides dance, different parts of what we were missing in each other. So I have endless stories about him, but I wanted to talk about the person besides the dancer. So this is what I wrote down is, besides him being a father figure, a teacher, a choreographer, a historian, an icon to me, he was really a mentor in my life besides dance. We all have our personal journeys of triumph and failure with him, but I hold dear the Stefanisms and the life lessons that he taught me. So if you took his class, you knew that the Stefan speak was not always, as it was written. There was much of an impact on dance, of his expertise to help shape me as a dancer, an artist, a friend, a teacher, a choreographer, a compassionate human being, and to keep an open mind. He didn't always follow his own advice, but the lessons were invaluable. He used to say to me, dance is believing that you are good enough to try. It may not always work out, but it's worth the effort. And it applies to life as well, and so I've held that close to my heart. And although we say goodbye and we hold close to our hearts the wisdom, the knowledge, the stories, the moments in time, and all the gifts that he gave us. And we carry that on, and it's for us to keep his legacy alive. And I just thank him for everything that he's done for me. So.
If anybody really wants to talk, please come up. Otherwise, we'll be ending soon. Stefan is the most, he inspired me constantly in his commitment to storytelling. He was always writing that novel, rewriting that novel, always loving stories, reading stories, and even till the last, month in his hospital room, he was editing stories with people that were close to him by his bedside. It just amazed me. Another thing that I found unique about Stefan was the questions he would teach by asking you questions like, is what you were doing honest? Have you ever been truly honest? If you're honest, you'll move well and everything will be well. And these things I found just so unique in a ballet class where a teacher's words resonate with me long after the class and maybe even make me write it down sometimes. The ability to make you look at yourself was, I think, for me, something that distinguished him.